Hello everyone, CSX 2716 Productions here, and welcome to the 300 subscriber special. Before this video begins, I would just like to apologize that it took so long for this video to come out. I have been incredibly busy. Now originally, the 300 sub special was supposed to be another Q&A, but I decided to push that back until 500 subscribers. So instead, I decided to do a fictional history behind my OC. CSX, the NBR C class. So let's begin with his backstory. Christian, or Chris for short, nowadays known as CSX, was originally built on the 31st of May 1897 for the North British Railway and was originally numbered 721. He used to pull various goods trains around Scotland, always delivering the goods wherever they were needed. Despite his American accent, he usually got on well with other engines. Well, all except for two. Now these two engines didn't have names, just numbers. 68 and 658. Despite being the same class as Chris, they always tried their best to get on his nerves. Normally, Chris would ignore all their boasting and comments, but eventually he did hit his breaking point and, well, this happened. And since that day, they never messed with Chris again. Anyways, back to Chris. In 1923, the North British was absorbed into the London and North Eastern Railway, and Chris's class was reclassified from the C class to the J36. On top of that, he received a new number, 9721. He continued his job as a goods engine for many years, but unfortunately, things would take a turn for the worse. In 1942, Edward Thompson took over as chief mechanical engineer, and let's just say, Chris did not like him one bit. Every time Thompson was in his presence, he'd always glare at him. Around this time, he was renumbered again, this time to 5292. After a while, all the four big railway companies were nationalized to form British Railways, and Chris was renumbered for the final time to 65292, and was allocated to St. Margaret's Shed. Allocation number 64A. During his life on British Railways, Chris encountered several diesel engines, like with 68 and 658, who are now numbered 65247 and 65234 respectively. He usually ignored the diesels boasting. But as time went on, Chris had less and less work to do, often being at the back of the shed, until being withdrawn from service on the 28th of February, 1967. Luckily, he was preserved by the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway a few days later. He was then restored to his NBR appearance and then put on static display. Until 1974, when restoration started to bring him back into operational condition. The restoration was completed in 1977, and Chris was back under steam once again. For the next few years, he enjoyed his life pulling passenger trains. However, things came to a tragic end in 1982, when it was discovered that he had cracks in his firebox, and so he was placed back on static display. During his time on display, he met a man from America who told him about another engine who had been withdrawn on the exact same day as him, and for the exact same reason. He was then sold to the North Yorkshire Moors Railway in 1987, returning to steam in 1989, before being sold again in 1995 to the Great Central Railway, only to be withdrawn the following year due to more cracks in his firebox. His third restoration began in 1999, returning to steam in 2003, before being sold for the final time to the Northwestern Railway in 2005, and remains there to this day. His most recent overhaul was completed in 2019, now sporting the number 2716, after the engine the American man told him about, and now going by the name CSX. Personality. CSX is usually a friendly engine, and usually helps out whenever he can. There are moments when he can be easily agitated, but he does mean well. CSX is friends with mostly all the engines on the island, but loves being around the little western engines. And you can usually see him operating on the main line on local passenger trains and the occasional goods run. And finally, livery. CSX is currently painted in North British Railway lined black with the number 2716 on his side and the initials NWR on his tender in NBR font. Well, that was the history of my OC. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And thank you all again for 300 subscribers.